This just in, Bieber, the United States is on its last legs. In a few days, the nation will default on its debt and your life will be over. Welfare payments gone, your job gone, and most importantly, the stock market utterly annihilated. Well, unless Congress steps in, but they're never gonna. This just in, Timberlake. Congress has raised the debt ceiling. Phew. Also, please subscribe to the channel, pretty please. Does this scene look familiar to you? Broadcasts like this are an American tradition on par with Thanksgiving or celebrate that crazed enslaving murderer day. But what is the debt ceiling? Why does it exist? And will it ever cause a default? Short answer, it almost certainly won't. Long answer, keep watching the video. So let's say, hypothetically, I'm really into mangoes. Based on a true story. I'm so into mangoes that I create a marketplace for mango vendors and invest in said vendors so they can develop tastier fruit. I have $10,000 set aside for mango investments, but I agree to pay the mango vendors $15,000. My accountant, let's call them Treasury, is doing a swell job at managing my finances, when one day my manager, his name is Congress, tells Treasury that they can only borrow a maximum of $4,000. Why does Congress do this? I'll get into that when I drop this stupid analogy. Due to this cap, Treasury is now scrambling, trying to reduce my debts through some extraordinary measures. They do this by pulling out of recent mango investments and cashing out on in-progress investments early. However, if they're unable to lower my debt by $1,000, I'll default on my debt, which is bad because of all this. Why does the US have a debt ceiling in the first place? To answer that, we gotta turn the clock back to 1917. The world is in the midst of World War I, and America is dealing with very high amounts of loans and bonds as a result. Up to then, Congress had to manually approve every single loan and bond. They got tired of this, said, "F this bullshit, we ain't dealing with these mother money anymore," and passed the Second Liberty Bond Act, thus creating the debt ceiling. With this law, Congress had to do less of their job, which was a bad job since they royally screwed up this bill. Although most countries don't have debt limits, some do. Germany, Poland, and Malaysia all have one, but the difference is that these countries tie their limits to their GDP, and many of them purposely leave expenses out of budgetary reports to stay under the debt limit. I'm looking at you, Poland. Similarly, all European Union members pledged to keep their debt lower than 60% of their GDP. However, it seems Greece didn't get the memo, and neither did Austria, Belgium, Croatia, Cyprus, France, Hungary, Italy, Portugal, Slovenia, or Spain. Meanwhile, America's debt ceiling, always one to do everything in its own special way, is a static number. Only one other country, Denmark, does it how we do. However, they've purposely raised their debt limit to a ridiculous amount as to never approach it for a long time. If a tiny, unimportant, stupid nation like Denmark can figure this out, then what's stopping the mighty US of A? Politics. Although the debt ceiling makes little practical sense, it's an absolute goldmine for politicians. Both major parties have weaponized the debt ceiling for decades, but Republicans upped the ante after Obama came into office. In 2010, they regained control of the House, and when the US hit the debt ceiling the following year, they leveraged the issue in order to pass the Budget Control Act, which increased the debt limit by $2 trillion and in return reduced the federal budget by $1 trillion over the following 9 years. Side tangent, the debt ceiling ties into larger debates about national debt as a whole, which Republicans bring up whenever a Democrat is in the Oval Office, conveniently forget about under Republican presidencies.
Do you think your colleagues, the Republican Party, will rediscover its concern about debt and deficits?
Sure.
I mean, isn't that the most cynical, phony thing?
There's an
Doesn't
element
that
of
make
it.
you want to puke?
Before proceeding to push policies that both increase debt and don't help the economy. And you know the debt is a serious problem because, well, look at this counter. That's a big number. Big numbers are scary. In 2013, numerous tax cuts were set to expire at the same time in what was dramatically called the fiscal cliff. In order to alleviate the consequences of this, Congress passed the American Taxpayer Relief Act. However, the debt ceiling didn't account for the increased borrowing that was necessary following the lost tax revenue caused by this law, and the debt limit was hit once again in 2013. The limit was suspended for a few months, but resumed shortly after, and was hit for the second time in 1 year. It was then Congress finally realized their grandstanding was harming the country, and both major parties banded together to fix this issue once and for all.
Like that's ever gonna happen. What a load Somebody.
Jump forward 8 years to 2021. Republicans refused to raise the debt ceiling, instead telling Democrats to do it by themselves using a process called reconciliation, which lets budgetary bills pass with only 50 Senate votes instead of 60. In turn, Democrats do nothing and wait out Republicans to prove a point. I mean, they were successful, but that's still stupid. Another 2 years pass, and the debt ceiling is hit once again. Republicans refuse to raise the limit, Democrats attempt waiting Republicans out, but fail this time around, instead passing the Fiscal Responsibility Act. It suspends the debt limit until 2025, but is estimated to cut federal spending by $1.5 trillion over the next 10 years and narrows eligibility for certain government benefits. The truth is, no sane congressman would ever let the US default on its debt. They're opportunistic and pandering, but not stupid. It would be as dumb as throwing a snowball in the Senate in order to deny climate change.
I asked the chair, you know what this is? It's a snowball. And that's just from outside here. So it's very, very cold out, very unseasonal. So here, Mr. President, catch this.
Never mind, this country is The debt ceiling will probably never be removed through congressional action, but luckily for us, there's potentially one other way to get rid of it. Everyone's favorite piece of paper, the Constitution. The 14th Amendment is mostly known for establishing equal protections under the law and birthright citizenship, but Section 4 of the amendment reads, "The validity of the public debt of the United States authorized by law, including debts incurred for payments of pensions and bounties for services in suppressing insurrection or rebellion, shall not be questioned." Riveting stuff, I know. Some legal scholars have argued that this passage either means that the debt ceiling doesn't have to be followed, or that the government has a duty to ignore it. In 2011, Bill Clinton said he'd invoke the 14th if he had the power to, but Bill Clinton is the same guy who from his so his judgment is questionable. Anyways, it's time I get back to my job as President of the United States. Thank you for your time, and God bless you, America.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to excuse me.